Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
The sound of praise for your Sunday morning.
The only one who could ever teach me.
Introducing Reverend A.R. Bernard of the Christian Cultural Center.
Was the son of a preacher man.
And Rabbi Joseph Potasnik of Religion on the Line.
The only one who could ever teach me.
Now, here's the Rev and the Rabbi, where faith matters.
Good morning, I'm Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
And since our guest is time limited, we want to go to him immediately, the 35th Fire Commissioner of the City of New York, and now he's in the private sector, T&M Protection, which he held for many years as chair, the Honorable Robert S. Tucker. Good morning.
It's nice to be with both of you, two chief chaplains.
How about that one?
Well, wait. Let me correct that. One chief chaplain and one co-chief chaplain.
Oh, yes, you're right. The chief chaplain of the FDNY and the co-chief chaplain of the NYPD. Just so you know, I love your co also, just to be clear.
I haven't yet been able to use the co too often because the Cardinal's been traveling to Ireland and he's been at the Vatican. I mean,
I sense
I've
like
had to hold on.
I will defend him staunchly. He was a love to me during my time as FDNY commissioner, and he's been a good friend of my family for a long time.
Yeah, well, we
amazing
love him,
individual,
and we love a successor.
Yeah,
we've come to know him and
absolutely.
Respect him. So it's all good.
Archbishop Hicks. Yeah.
All right. So
Robert,
I was listening to you doing an interview on a TV station, and one of the things you said was this suspect, Cole Allen, is the kind of suspect that keeps you up all night. Explain that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt when you have someone like Cole Thomas Allen, who's highly educated, highly resourced, integrated into communities, teaching our children, tutoring our children after school, you've got someone who's got real capability and brain power. And, that is a very scary thought, to know that someone like that wants to do harm to anyone, let alone the President of the United States.
And to have that kind of access. But what's your call? Everybody's criticizing the Secret Service for not doing what they're supposed to be doing well. What was your call on it?
Look,
you were on Fox 5. You did a great job on Fox 5.
Thank you. I stay with the position that the Secret Service did an amazing job. And how you know that is Cole Thomas Allen got nowhere near the president, got nowhere near the vice president, got nowhere near any protectees that night. He didn't even get on the right floor. Now, there's no question this was a breach, and there's no question that policies and procedures will need to be reviewed. And we're going to have to figure out if there aren't things that the Secret Service and other law enforcement agencies can do better. But that night, nobody got hurt, with the exception of a Uniform Division Secret Service officer who, thank God, was shot in his bulletproof vest and hopefully is home recuperating now.
Now, I don't know how up-to-date you are, but I heard something about friendly fire. Is that true?
Yeah. Very possible. I thought it that night. I was with some friends that night when it happened, and I immediately thought friendly fire.
So,
and that can happen.
Yeah, Robert. Let me ask. He was registered as a guest, and I think in the old days they used to check a guest list to see who's in the hotel, right? And secondly, he was able to get into the hotel with many arms.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. I mean, look, the president does attend events where the public is around. But the Secret Service, there is no doubt that they had a list of every single person that checked into that hotel in the last day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Cole Allen was on that list, but there was really no reason to know that he had checked into the Washington Hilton to do harm to the president. And so it's a miss. And therefore, the Secretary of Homeland Security, I know, is going to convene a group of experts to take a look at the policies and procedures. And I think it's a good thing to do. And this incident, while no one was hurt, it proves that even the greatest protection agency in the world, the United States Secret Service, always needs to review and learn and do better.
Tactically, I mean, you see the video, you see the perpetrator, he's running full speed, which means that he can easily be knocked off balance. He came within, maybe 6 inches of one of the Secret Service who were on posts. Why didn't they take him out?
I don't know why, and it would be really Monday morning quarterbacking for me to propose a reason why. But one thing I would say, do you know when you're at TSA in the airports and you snake through a line and you go left and then you go right and then you go left and you go right? Perhaps you'll start to see that configuration at events such as this one in the future, so that you can't get ahead of steam running straight in, because you'd have to have gone down one chute and then left to another and then right to another and left to another, like we do in airports every time we travel.
Right, create an obstacle course.
I think one of the things that comes across, I've been at airports where people complain, oh, look at the line, security, it takes them so long. I don't think anybody has the right to say that anymore. I think you got to be thankful that they're taking their time with security.
I think another thing, I think that's a good point, Rabbi, and I agree with you. I also think that the protection of the people on that line waiting to get through security is going to be a critical part of event security going forward, because that is where the incident is likely to happen. That's where you're going to find the person with the gun. That's where you're going to find the person who has a gun and realizes they're not getting through, so they may as well start shooting right there. And so I think the critical area that is the screening checkpoint is going to become a big part of the security plan going forward at all events.
So what do you think? He gets a new ballroom? And they're going to expand it now that they've had the scenario to play out, so they'll be prepared for that, even with the new ballroom.
Yeah, I hate that that's become part of the conversation, and that's the win, if you will. For me, I don't have an opinion on whether the president needs a new ballroom or not. I think the president can be kept safe and has been, with a few obvious exceptions, for many, many, many years. And I think the Secret Service is the right agency to do it. And I think they're assisted by lots of other federal agencies. And certainly when the president comes to New York, the NYPD is critical in helping the Secret Service succeed. And they do an amazing job. The FDNY plays a role on the medical side for the president when he's in New York City, and I'm very proud of the role that the FDNY plays. You probably saw there were 3 ambulances in the motorcade for the King and the Queen in New York just the other day. So, look, the Secret Service does nothing alone. They rely heavily on hotel security, 3-letter agencies, local police, sheriff's offices. And, from my perspective, they'll keep doing a great job, and the president will stay alive and continue to run the greatest country in the world.
Robert, we have to wrap up the conversation. We've come to the end of this segment, but long-term projection for your business. The security business.
Yeah.
Give us a forecast.
I think it's doing okay.
Yeah, you think it's going to do okay?
Yeah.
At T&M, the company that I run, we have had a wonderful year. We are the best private protection agency in the world. We have the intelligence capacity behind our protection agents. We have great policies, procedures, training. You know, T&M is protecting some of the most important people and places in the world right now. And I'm very proud of what we do, and I thank you for asking me about that, because it's something that I've spent my professional life building.
Robert Tucker, you've been commissioner of FDNY. You're now at T&M, and we've been the beneficiaries of your expertise in both areas. So thank you so much, and let's continue to have conversations with you as we go forward. Wouldn't you like to travel with him? Can you imagine he sits there looking around saying, well, they could have done that. Why didn't they do that?
An assessment. No,
you guys are amazing. Thank you for
call
what
him
you do.
when I'm being offered a job with different government agencies. I call Robert Tucker.
I want him guarding
and
me.
I get his advice.
All right.
We got to wrap
Thanks,
it up.
Robert. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
giving
much
us
for
the
being on the
time.
program. Stay tuned for more of the Rev the Rabbi right here on Red Apple Radio Networks. We'll be right back.
Reverend A.R. Bernard, Rabbi Joseph Potasnik, where faith matters. The Rev and the Rabbi.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The lone wolf, who you thought was a good collaborator because you didn't have the right candidate insights. But once you hired them, it was all hoarding info, declining meetings, and howling at the full moon? But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can go deeper than just the resume to find you a perfect fit. By using insights from the LinkedIn network to give you a short list of best fit candidates. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
This spring, Uber Eats has you covered. Whether you're celebrating mom, dad, or your favorite grad, not all of us are great planners, and with the Uber Eats gift hub, you don't have to be. Send flowers, perfume, champagne, or just their favorite meal straight to their door. Gifts arrive in as little as 25 minutes, and you can add a personalized video message for that additional so-not-last-minute touch. So this spring, get a leg up on gift giving with Uber Eats. Last-minute gifts that land every time. Must be 21 or older to purchase alcohol. Product availability varies per region. See app for details.
Where faith matters. The Rev and the Rabbi.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
Reverend, you and I were privileged to participate at a conference with people from around the world, from the tech industry and from the world of faith.
And some former members of the Obama administration in the area of technology and where it's going in our society. Yeah.
And, you know, it was a real intersection of where we can come together and try to make a difference, because AI without guardrails can be very, very dangerous. It is dangerous. So there are so many things you can do with AI that you want to make sure if it's done for the right reasons. I mean, you can impersonate people. You can create all kinds of scenarios that are not true. You can create faith direction for those who don't have clergy, and make it sound as if this is what your tradition wants of you.
Well, let's talk about that, because we saw two videos, right? And that first video, because you and I sat together in the first video, and you were very moved by what you saw, the problem with it.
The problem here. There was a woman who lost her husband. She has a child. And they were able to replicate his voice,
his image,
mm-hmm. his speaking to her and giving her some encouragement, I guess. But the point was, she's hurting deeply. And if you're only going to rely on an AI-generated individual, and that's going to be your source of comfort, you're putting yourself in a very difficult place. And I said to you, we always talk about being there, theology of presence. You need someone to hold and hug, someone to give you strength and support. You don't have that with AI.
But suppose that's all she had. And she's hurting, she's grieving, and she needs something. And instead of a therapist who's disconnected from her experience, her husband is generated.
Temporarily. But I think if we're going to use technology, and if there isn't a faith leader, in her area, then you can turn to Zoom. You can turn to another, platform and say, "Help me." But you need someone who's going to be present with you.
A human being.
Someone
Not a
who's
machine,
guide.
a computer,
Right.
not artificial intelligence.
Look, you and I know that when our kids sent us birthday cards at a young age, and even as they get older, they wrote all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
We never threw those cards away. If our kids had sent us some AI card, it wouldn't have meant the same thing to us, right? Because you want that human emotion. You want that human connection. The person you know. You want to know the person thought about what he or she was going to say before they gave it to you. Of course, then you looked at the back of the card to see how much they spent on the card. That was the other part of the experience. But we can't diminish the worth of another person when we need strength and support.
Second video we saw, it was a young man looking for love. And he meets a young lady, and he's trying to figure out the best way to connect with her. He's a Christian. He's Bible-believing Christian. She's a Christian. And the relationship begins to struggle. But he's continually seeking the counsel of AI to guide him through this relationship. Is that bad or is that good? And AI is giving him passages of Scripture, so connecting him with him on a faith level.
But passages of Scripture that somehow seem to support his preconceived understanding of religion. For example, subservience, right? He seems to be very much in favor, or he believes that a woman should be subservient.
One of the comments, yeah.
Yeah, subservient. Mm-hmm. And I says, well, in this particular Scripture, it does say. So he's walking away, well, then I'm right and she's wrong. So, again, where is that human mind that can deal with your questions and also speak to you face to face and faith to faith? AI is good, but I mentioned, the Bible says, I give you a life and death, choose life. And I often ask, why does it have to tell us to choose life? That's an obvious. Because life comes with certain dangers. Life needs guardrails. AI is a blessing, but can easily become a curse when it's not monitored properly.
Well, that's the important thing, because you take a young man like that, and he ends up in crisis because of AI's guidance. And I think, and we talked about this because we broke up into groups, discussion groups, and at our table we talked about this. And I mentioned that AI is artificial intelligence. It takes your queries, it answers those queries, and over time builds a profile on you. It's designed to please you, to make you happy with its response. So it's not objective communication. It's not objective counsel. It is artificial. And it's important because it's easy to forget that, because it's become so real, so human-like. It's the anthropomorphization. And without critical thinking, even in our faith, When God is anthropomorphized, God's angry, God repented as though he changed his mind because he made a mistake, that violates what we know to be the nature of God. God is omniscient. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't have to think things through, right? The impassibility of God. So if we don't understand that the anthropomorphization is an attempt to help us understand, if God were human, this is how he would react to the situation. But we can't disconnect that from God. So the same thing is, that requires critical thinking. A person can pick up the Bible, read something like that, and take it literally. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
It takes critical thinking, and it's the same thing with the use of technology like AI.
What bothers me is with AI, and again, AI has contributed significantly to, our development, is it seems to speak with such certainty.
Yeah.
Right? There's no maybe.
It speaks
There's
American.
No right? I want an
it speaks
answer.
American.
Right.
Certainty.
Yeah. Give me the answer immediately. And you're struggling to find an answer. And by the way, when you're in conversation with clergy, you can struggle together. Clergy can often say, I have great difficulty with this
with
passage.
that text. And
right?
that's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
We dig the text. We understand the context, right? And nuance and complexity and all of that goes into it. AI doesn't really do that.
I'm reading now, as you are as well, of the young people who are going back to church. Mm-hmm. And the question is, what's inspiring them to go back now? And I think one of the things is they're looking for community. They're looking to connect with community. Mm-hmm. The secular world doesn't bring them the psychic income that they need to find meaningful experience of life. So I think we have taken for granted, the human, and we've put all our attention on the technology. But as I said, Yeshiva University, where I went to school, not on a football scholarship because we didn't have a team.
I didn't think so.
It was Torah and science, or Torah and technology. They can become allies. They should become allies. There's a place for us at the table. There's a place for AI. But let's have that substantive discussion with one another as to what the guardrails should be.
We've got to go to a break, but we've got to continue this conversation because there's also a question about responsibility when it comes to the use of technology. Stay tuned for more of the Rev the Rabbi. We'll be right back right here on Red Apple Radio Network.
Hey, Fidelity. How can I remember to invest every month?
With the Fidelity app, you can choose a schedule and set up recurring investments in stocks and ETFs.
Oh, that sounds easier than I thought.
You got this.
Yeah, I do. Now, where did I put my keys?
You will find them where you left them.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
From hidden Mediterranean gems to the wilderness of Antarctica, Silversea invites you to explore the world in greater depth. Venture to over 900 destinations across all 7 continents. On board small ships that set the standard for elite ocean travel. Every journey opens doors to extraordinary discoveries. And wherever you sail, you can expect the same Silversea promise. Unrivaled service, unmatched comfort, and unforgettable memories. Visit silversea.com to learn more.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
When you have 4 new tires, every drive feels fresh. Right now, buy 3 Select tires and get 1 for just $1 during the Cadillac Certified Service Fresh Start Tire event. Visit Cadillac.com/service offers or see dealer for full details. At participating US GM dealers only, highest or equal value tire will be $1. Offer ends May 31st, 2026. Not available with other offers.
Reverend A.R. Bernard, Rabbi Joseph Potasnik, the Rev and the Rabbi.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R. Bernard.
Reverend, someone had suggested to me that we have on this next guest. He's in a very, very unique position. He's the president of Assumption University, a Catholic school. President Greg Wiener is Jewish. Now, in all my years, I've never come across a Jewish president of a Catholic university. So I was very intrigued, and I mentioned it to you and said, well, let's have him on. So, President Wiener, nice to have you with us.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Welcome. Where do we begin? Where do we begin with the conversation?
Well, I asked him a question you've been asked by everyone, but I don't want to be an exception. What is a Jewish guy doing as president of a Catholic university?
Well, that's what my mother wants to know. I actually think there are quite a few compatibilities. Obviously, some very fundamental religious differences, but in the educational traditions, the belief in learning for the sake of learning, for the joy of learning, for the love of learning, that's happening. That's a wonderful Jewish tradition, and it is happening. It's a flame that's being tended largely at institutions like Assumption now.
Does it demand that you know quite a bit about the Catholic faith in order to be president?
Well, I certainly have learned a lot about the Catholic faith and about Catholic theology. It's what's most important is how we are talking about what it means to have a Catholic intellectual tradition and a Catholic educational mission. And that I've felt for as long as I've been at Assumption, including on the faculty.
Now, Catholics are, you can read your way into Catholicism because intellectually they have really been foundational to the development and growth of Christian faith, Christian belief, Christian doctrine. Before the Reformation, the church for the most part was Catholic. So they have shaped intellectually the Christian belief systems. Have you encountered that?
I think what I've encountered is again, without diminishing the fundamental theological differences, a deep compatibility between what the aspects of our traditions that are most pertinent to being president of a Catholic university, and that is. Again, the love of learning, but the key there is learning for learning's sake. That learning is applicable. It informs students' career choices and so forth. But most of all, there's just a joy there, and a joy in pursuing truth and appreciating beauty. And both traditions, as you say, are very intellectual. You can read your way, I think, pretty far into understanding Judaism as well. And there's a myth of Judaism that I think is true of Catholicism. Excuse me, when I say it's true, I mean there's also a myth about Catholicism that they are legalistic, and that misses so much of the beauty of the thought and the intellectual tradition of these two religions.
Yeah. We were often criticized. Too many rules, too many legal principles. So I'm glad to see we have that common thinking. I want to ask you this. Right. Parents today looking for a school and students looking for a school, if you're Jewish, there's a heightened concern about the treatment of Jews on campuses. You've seen in many places, too many places. Some of those schools with great reputations, but when it comes to their view of Jews and Israel, it's hostile. And we've had all kinds of demonstrations. We've had kids who've been verbally assaulted, intimidated, prevented from going to classes. They don't have that at Assumption, I take it.
We did not have any issues. I think the question that Jewish families, parents, and students alike have to ask is our tradition of learning, does it value the learning itself, which I think it does, or does it simply value a pedigree that is associated increasingly with institutions that candidly just don't want us there. I've been asked why were there no issues at Assumption, and the answer in my mind is very simple. Assumption focuses on education, and the students in that sense, and I mean this in an extraordinary sense, are normal. They have the normal interests of college students. They're going to class, they're doing their reading or their lab work, they're practicing on their sports teams, and I'm not naive enough to think they aren't doing getting into mischief and so on and so forth. But they don't think that they know the answer to every question. They're there to learn, not to shout at the world about what they think they already know.
Yeah, that's interesting. You want to respond to that, Rabbi?
So a Jew who is a student who's religious, who's observant, can that person feel comfortable on a campus? Would there be, for example, a mini Jewish community? So if you want to pray, you pray with a quorum. Would you have those kinds of relationships in addition to the non-Jewish relationships? But you feel comfortable when you're with your own in certain settings. Is that available? Kosher food? Take that.
Well, that's the question. Are there Jewish students going to the Catholic university?
So I can tell you at Assumption there are some. There's a growing number. It's not a huge number. I think a practicing Jew should feel not only comfortable, but I would say uniquely comfortable at an institution like Assumption. The divide to me in society, to the extent that there is one, is not between religion so much as between people who do and don't take religion seriously, whatever their beliefs might be. That's not to say that the beliefs don't matter, but I think there is a real mutual respect between Catholics and Jews who take their religion seriously.
Serious Judaism, serious Christianity. And one of the things we try to advocate is whatever religion you practice, be serious about the religion that you practice.
Does the centralization, and maybe you don't even get into doctrinal issues, but does the centralization of intellectual administration, the magisterium, and the whole Catholic system work better for you because it's centralized like that?
This was one of the things that was took me a while to learn and to appreciate is the importance of authority and the magisterium in Catholic thought. I am also president of our local synagogue, where, as you know, there is no central authority, and that
everyone is the president. That's why.
Well, you said it. I did. But it's just a different way of thinking about authority. We don't teach in the sense of enforcing Catholic doctrine. It's been said that the Catholic universities are where the church does its thinking. So I always say to people who ask me about this issue, a Catholic university is an ideal place to engage with and debate the teachings of the church. Now, I think at a Catholic university, one is obligated, as in other settings, by the way, to do so with respect, to give reasons and listen to the reasons that others give. Of course, as an institution, we are part of and subject to the magisterium of the church. So that means institutional decisions certainly abide by church teachings. But a Catholic university is, I think, an ideal place to have debates about the church, as in fact the church has been doing since the founding of the Catholic University in the Middle Ages.
So issues like exclusivity, which is common to both Christian and Catholic and Protestant Christianity, exclusivity of faith, that doesn't even come up. That's not a question, correct?
By exclusivity of faith, you mean
Jesus and the whole doctrine around Christ being essentially the only way of salvation.
I see. So, look, I feel very comfortable with. I've asked. I've had many conversations with the Assumptionists and very serious Catholics and Catholic clergy. I'm very comfortable with disagreeing about very fundamental religious things. I think when we shy away from those differences, it's a sign of a lack of self-confidence, and I feel quite comfortable with those debates. And it's often the case when I speak to Jewish families that they worry about, is the purpose of a Catholic university to proselytize or to convert my kids? And I say, only half jokingly, I can't get a lot of the Catholic students to go to church. And so the last thing on my list is urging non-Catholic students to observe any particular religious view. What we're interested in is a tradition, and a very venerable tradition of education.
We have to go to a break, but we're going to come back and continue our conversation.
More to talk about. This is
got
fascinating.
More questions. Absolutely.
President Gregory Weiner at Assumption University.
Stay tuned for more of the Rev and the Rabbi right here on Red Apple Radio Networks.
Reverend A.R. Bernard, Rabbi Joseph Potasnik, the Rev and the Rabbi.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is brought to you by Truly Hard Seltzer. We're always in touch, but nothing beats actually being together. This summer, grab a Truly Hard Seltzer. Light, bubbly, fruity, and make your dreams come truly. Truly is the official hard seltzer of U.S. Soccer. Visit trulyhardseltzer.com/locations to find Truly near you. Hard Seltzer Beverage Company, LLC, Boston, Massachusetts. Hard Seltzer, 5% alcohol by volume. Please drink responsibly. 21 plus only.
United connects you to more of the world than any U.S. airline, and United for Business can get your company where you need to go. Whether you're growing a business or managing travel for thousands, they offer solutions to fit your needs. Track expenses, create reports, and manage traveler perks. Plus, employees earn Mileage Plus miles while your company saves on travel. Get started with no minimum spend or flight requirements. Visit business.united.com/podcast.
Looking to see what's happening around your home? Ring's Battery Doorbell helps you track packages and see who's at your door in real time. The Outdoor Cam Plus protects your yard at night with a wide field of view and clearer Retinal 2K video. Or upgrade to 4K cameras and doorbells with Retinal Vision for ultra-clear zoom and detail. Your door, your yard, your home. With Ring, it's protected. Shop cameras, doorbells, and more at ring.com now.
Where faith matters. The Rev and the Rabbi.
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Joseph Potasnik.
And I'm Reverend A.R.
Reverend, we are speaking with the president of Assumption University, Gregory Weiner. And one of the things I was thinking when the president spoke is I remember years ago, it was Cardinal O'Connor said at St. Pat's, and it was a mixed audience. He says, I didn't come here to turn Jews into Catholics. I hope I inspire Jews to be better Jews. And I didn't come here to have Catholics become Jews. I want Catholics to be better Catholics. And in listening to the president, it just seems to me when you are in that climate of appreciation for learning, it really motivates you, not just to learn about the other, but to learn, because if you want to respond about difference, you have to know what you stand for. You have to know what your tradition says. So I think it's a great motivator in terms of looking at the depth of your tradition so you can respond accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's right. What you're saying reminds me of a colleague in the theology department, now retired, who used to make the point to me that studying a foreign language makes you a better writer in English because you're more attentive to your own language and to issues like syntax and so forth. And I do think the same is true of studying religion. I think it's also important to note that the purpose of a Catholic university is the pursuit of truth and the appreciation of goodness and beauty, and that's wherever those are to be found. Those are to be found in Catholic theology through both faith and reason. But the truth and beauty are present in the gift of a created order, are present in the study of physics, of mathematics, anywhere where truth presents itself.
This is Catholic theology in its finest, sir. Absolutely. I'm curious because typically within the Jewish tradition, there is a focus on that tradition without comparative religious studies. Mm-hmm. Was comparative religious studies a part of your tradition? Was it included in any way in your training? Not that I recall. I had a bit of an unusual Jewish education in that I did briefly go to Hebrew school, but mostly grew up in a small town where we were the only Jewish family. Mm. So we spent summers with my grandparents and went to shul with them and learned most of what I know about Judaism from them. Yeah, because I don't recall a lot of discussion of other religions. Yeah, the reason I asked, Rabbi and I have conversations, almost every day about our faith and our faith experiences. And he was sharing with me, he went to yeshiva, and there was not a component of comparative religious studies. Not at all. It was strictly around Judaism and the Jewish faith.
And you know that President Wiener, Reverend and I, and clergy years ago, we were severely criticized for engaging in interfaith dialogue because we were told once you enter that arena, you're going to let your guard down. You're going to dilute the teachings just to accommodate the other side, just to be friends with the other side. And I never found that to be the case. I welcome it. As a matter of fact, I think an Assumption, didn't I read, don't you have an annual interfaith lecture? We have a lecture named after Rabbi Joseph Klein, who was a legendary rabbi in Worcester and was very involved with right. Assumption. The idea that one must keep one's guard up that's what you say when you feel when you don't have confidence in your own ideas. Absolutely. And your own religious faith. I think people with self in the same way that people who are have both confidence in and humility about their own ideas, enjoy disagreeing with other people about all kinds of ideas.
Has this exposure to the Catholic faith increased your appreciation for your own faith?
That's a great question. I think it probably has. I am not. I'm probably not on anybody's short list for the Tzaddik Ador, so I don't want to hold myself up as a paragon of religious virtue. But the ways in which the physical bodily aspects of ritual are similar. The ways in which the centuries and millennia of disputation are similar. I think has increased my appreciation for Judaism.
Yeah, because we talk about that often, Rabbi. The wrestling with the texts and two schools of thought and how those schools would go back and forth.
Which to some extent is countercultural because we live at a time where diversity of thought is not welcomed in some quarters. You're entitled to my opinion, not to your opinion. Mm-hmm. You go on the internet. This is the position people take. Don't you dare disagree. And if you disagree with me, I'm going to denigrate you. I think at Assumption, the unique experience there is you welcome the intellectual challenge. Mm-hmm. You look forward to discussing difference. You don't take the position it's only my school of thought. I want to hear your school of thought. I disagree with it. I walk on a different path than you, but there's room for you to be here and I can be here. Am I right?
Well, you are right, and one of the beauties of the Talmudic tradition, and I know I need hardly say this to a rabbi, is that they're the two famous schools of Hillel and Shammai, and Hillel always prevails. And one of the traditions about why is it that Hillel always prevails is because his students made an active effort to understand what the house of Shammai was trying to say. And I tell students that there are three virtues associated with learning. One is humility, so I don't know everything, and I want to learn things I don't know. Mm-hmm. The second is courage, which is if I think something different from everyone else in the room, I'm willing to raise my hand and say so. And the third is charity, and that's to say when someone disagrees with me, I listen for what they're trying to say. Not for what might offend me, not for anything acrimonious, but try honestly to understand what it is that they're trying to say.
What did you teach, by the way, before accepting the presidency?
So my academic training is in the political thought of the American founding. So I taught American politics, in both theoretically and institutionally, and I don't teach now. I since I went into college administration, I've taught one class and thoroughly enjoyed it, and I deeply miss it. But felt like the normal pace of activity, like that I wasn't giving my all to the students, and it wasn't fair to them. But I do miss it very much.
Well, let's stay there because now you raise the question: is America a Christian nation?
You hear that term, and I'm not entirely sure I understand what it means. America is a nation that's certainly deeply influenced by Christian ideals, but I'm not sure exactly what it would mean to give it a theocratic sort of cast. There's a famous study of sources that were cited in at the time of the American founding, and there's sort of a cottage industry of were they more influenced by John Locke or by Cicero or this or that. So this study did a citation count of books that were cited, and the most commonly cited book was Deuteronomy. More than Locke, more than Cicero, more than Aristotle, more than anyone else. So America is a deeply biblically influenced nation, and certainly the predominant religious culture has always been Christian, but also, as you know, a country that has a beautiful tradition of not only tradition but value of welcoming difference. We had just last week a public reading of the Declaration of Independence on our campus, and I'd read it, in my work. I'm sure 100 times, but something caught my ear listening to it, which is that one of the grievances against the king is preventing migration. And America has always been a country where different people and different ideas and different faiths are welcome, and I think that's central to our identity.
Well, so President, we come to the end of this segment, and fascinating interview with you. But look what you've done. You're the president of a university, and you're the president of a synagogue. I think I know which one is more difficult, and I think you would agree. We can agree off air on that one.
You know where he's going with that.
Except to say we agree on the answer.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating, and you could say only in America can you have this kind of experience, and it should be encouraging to be able to say, you see, difference doesn't have to destroy the other person.
Amen.
We can find a place for you and a place for me, and walk away shaking hands and not fists at one another.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your unique role. It speaks volumes to interfaith cooperation, and we need that desperately here in our nation. So we've come to another close of the Rev and the Rabbi show right here on Red Apple Radio Network. Till next time, God bless.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.